Thanks for joining us. Tonight is the February 11th, 2021 Town Board meeting. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So we do have tonight our town clerk and our town engineer joining us by Zoom. Just to make that little note, just a few comments before we begin. Hope everybody is doing well. Enjoyed the Super Bowl. I think everybody made it through that big snowstorm a couple weeks ago, about 26 inches of snow on average we had. And really, we've had 2 or 3 storms since then, smaller ones, but it's been busy with the snow. Our highway department is doing an outstanding job as usual, all our subcontractors as well. There was a lot of snow for that storm, and they were moving it. Also, I'd like to commend our police department and our fire district. They really didn't miss a beat as well. And I gotta say, it was pretty scary out there. When the snow was falling at 2 or 3 inches an hour, myself and Councilman Marinaro did venture out with our highway superintendent for a few hours to plow with him. That was my first time really plowing in a storm like that. I've never been out plowing in a big storm like that, and I have a new respect for all those who do the plowing and for a living and for our town. I have a new respect for them. It's hard to do this. Very tough weather. I mean, the truck is sliding. There's whiteout conditions that you can't see through the windshield, and it's definitely not for the faint of heart. That's for sure. So thank you to all our highway department, our trusted employees and contractors. I really appreciate your work. On another note for the storm. What is that noise?
I'm taking care of it.
Oh, okay. On another note for these storms, there's a lot of snow to move for these shopping centers and these plazas. I understand they have to put the snow somewhere, but I would like everybody to understand that these shopping centers and plazas, you can't dump the snow on town roads, county roads, state roads, or other people's property. We've had several incidents from the big storm that happened a couple weeks ago, and they were pushing snow from one person's property to another into town roads, and we can't have that. That's then taxpayer money going there to clean up these areas. If it fell on the town road, they pushed it to the town road. We have to remove it. And I'm just not going to spend taxpayer dollars to do that. I have contacted these companies, these contractors, these management companies to let them know that if anything like this happens again, that they're going to get fined, ticketed, and they're going to have to pay for the amount that it costs us to remove this snow. So, and trust me, I understand, I appreciate it's very difficult in a large storm like that to move it, but we can't have that interfere with town operations, with our town workers and on town roads. So please take care of your own businesses, your own properties, and if you need assistance, I'm sure the highway superintendent can give you some advice, but besides that, we have a job to do, and so do you. So, but thank you to everybody for the help for the storm. Blue Water Property Group, as everyone mostly knows, the planning board approved the site plan for an Amazon proposed 631,000 square foot warehouse. They had a long list of conditions attached with that approval. Also, the town board last month approved a special permit to allow them to move forward. Now we're moving to finalize many items on the list with Blue Water and Amazon to make sure that everything is up to town standards and specs, and hopefully we will get a go-ahead from the developer very soon. We're hoping by the end of the month for this project to move forward. This is very exciting for the town. I mean, it's probably close to 20 years that that site has stood vacant. It's become something of a brownfield there, and because that property has a lot of potential. It's got infrastructure in place, the location is very ideal. That coupled with this town board, and of course I have to give credit to my predecessor, Supervisor Hickman. He did a lot of help with the zoning there as well, and some of us were on that town board as well. That helped get this site prepared, right, for development. So redevelopment, I should say. So I'm very happy. We've come a long way with that site. We are almost there, and I will give another update to the public when we are complete. Also, I've been working very closely with iPark. I always have, but just recently, some more potential businesses are going to be coming to the iPark site, which is the former IBM East Campus. iPark has really been successful on redeveloping those former IBM buildings. Since they have been there, they have generated more than 600 jobs on that site. And now we're currently working with them for a few more new companies to come here. And once we have more details, I will share that with the town board and the public. But it's very exciting. And like I said earlier, all these zoning changes that the town board has passed, it's helping with our redevelopment plans. All the planning that we have been doing and trying to do is coming to fruition now. So it's very exciting. I mean, we still have a lot of work to do, but whatever we did, we could see that it's working, and it's actually very refreshing to see that, a plan come together, because sometimes it doesn't. So it's nice to see that. And the town board likes to see development like this that we're having. Older sites being redeveloped, reused. That eases the burden on the taxpayers, especially for the school district, which these projects will bring in a lot of school tax dollars. They don't produce any children to be enrolled in our school district, into our school system, and it still produces tax dollars for the school district. So that's a win-win. Like I've said time and time again, we need to grow the size of our tax-paying pie in order to ease the burden for all of our residents. No matter what, we have a certain amount of dollars that we have to spend on government services. So those costs increase, and without us increasing the size of the taxpayer pie, the residents who always have been here will have to pay more. Well, we don't like to see that. We like to see that burden be eased a little. And when we bring these new companies in, they have new buildings being built, that helps us taxpayers. So everything we're doing here is very important for our tax base, and I'm just thankful to the town board and our professionals for helping all these projects move along. So thank you very much. I've been also working very closely with our Economic Development Director, Mike O'Brien. He's been very busy working with some businesses in town, also assisting me with the New York State DOT, Dutchess County Transportation Council, Senator Sue Serino. Those are a few meetings that we've had this past month. Everyone might remember a while ago, New York State Department of Transportation came to the town asking about showing us that the bridge on Route 82 is slated to be replaced right by Williams Lumber. So the Department of Transportation came, they gave us a little preview of what they were planning to do, but they also had an alternate plan. That alternate plan was to perhaps have an at-grade crossing, remove the bridge entirely and just have an at-grade crossing. So we really were in favor of that. The town liked that. That would be more beneficial to the businesses in that corridor. Also, that would have the potential more easier for us to run sewer down north, down 82. So there's a lot of positives to that. Well, Metro North wasn't too happy about having another at-grade crossing, so we had to petition. I sent letters to Senator Schumer's office, Gillibrand, Congressman Maloney, Assemblyman Lawler, Senator Serino, County Executive Molinaro. I mean, Santa Claus. I sent them to everybody. So asking for help to get Metro North to capitulate to remove the bridge. So finally we got some good news that the Metro North agreed to have an at-grade crossing at that location, but there's many items that they want to see done as well, so we'll have to address those items. But after hearing this potential good news, I contacted the regional director of the DOT, Lance McMillan, and we started discussing a possible plan. A part of the project now is with Dutchess County Transportation Safety Council for the funding. It's been put for a TIP amendment. The TIP is the Transportation Improvement Program. And there's all these different projects on these for this program, and they're introducing a new amendment for this bridge replacement. So that's where that's the initial start, where the funding comes from. They have funding from the state and other different entities, federal government. So once this gets put on the tip, East Fishkill, myself, I represent East Fishkill for the Dutchess County Transportation Council. We will vote on that next month. All the voting members are the larger towns in Dutchess County, county executive, et cetera, and we usually have monthly meetings, and we have usually once or twice a year different voting meetings. So with this amendment, that would get this funding cycle prepared. Then the town will reach back out to the New York State Department of Transportation to start looking at what the phasing of the project will be and what the scope of the project will be. It's very exciting. Again, there's a lot going on in town, and we're very hopeful that we can have a traffic improvement down 82 with the Sac Grade crossing that would help ease the traffic congestion in town. So there's a lot of moving parts here. I'd like to thank the executive director, Lance McMillan, and the regional director, and our economic development director, Mike O'Brien. They've been both a big help, so thank you, thank you. I've been meeting with our human resource director about multiple issues, mainly about the pandemic response plan that Governor Cuomo has initiated. He mandated it for all towns, villages, and cities to pass by April, I believe April 18th. Yeah, so we have to have a plan in place for a pandemic response. And basically, it's a plan for all the protocols and procedures that we have been doing since COVID started. We will hopefully place this on the March agenda for the town board to approve. Right now, we are having the pandemic plan that we came up with being approved by our unions. Once that is done, then I will place it in front of the town board for approval, so then we can meet the governor's timetable. So thank you to our HR director and our controller, Mark Posniak, for all their help with that. I have been meeting regularly with the county executive weekly. We have weekly calls with him and the mayors and supervisors in the county, mostly COVID-related issues. Really, the story for the COVID vaccinations, unfortunately, is the same as last I reported. The demand for the vaccine in Dutchess County far exceeds the current supply, which for the week has already been exhausted for this week, unfortunately, for appointments at the county's POD, points of dispensing. Their schedule for the week has already been met. So Dutchess County will alert residents when more vaccine and additional appointments are available at its pod, the points of dispensing. And if you need to discuss this, try to get an appointment. The best way to do so is call Dutchess County. Don't call Dutchess County Department of Health. The best way is online at dutchessny.gov/COVID vaccine, or calling the New York State hotline, which is 1-833-697-4829. They're open every day, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., and all those phone numbers and email address is on our website, on our social media pages. You can find it readily available. So please do so if you need to schedule an appointment. Now, what East Fishkill has been doing for some of our seniors, they're not very computer savvy, and some of them actually have trouble communicating even by phone. We have staff at our community center, our senior staff, that will help make appointments for the seniors. The seniors are to come in by appointment only, and we can help go online with them or even assist them with phone calls. Like I said, it's by appointment only. You will call the community center. All those phone numbers are on our website. They're also posted on Channel 22 and all our social media sites. And you call them to make an appointment, and they are happy to assist you. I really like to thank our staff at the community center, Sue Gartner, and our rec directors, Bill Green and Jan McHugh. They really put together some of these plans as we need it quickly, and it's very important. Some of our seniors do need the help, and it's very difficult and frustrating for them when they don't know how to go through the proper procedures. So thank you to all those for the help. Optimum, Altice, Cablevision, really the whole same, they're all the same. I've had many phone calls, emails, messages about the situation with Optimum. We are one of those towns, unfortunately, that only have one provider for the majority of our town. It's very problematic, I understand that. We have reached out to other providers to let them know that East Fishkill has an open franchise agreement. We have an open contract. This means that the contract we have with Optimum is not solely for Optimum. If people say that, that's not true. We have an open agreement. Any company can come in here and do business, whether it's Verizon, Frontier, I don't know, many other companies. They can come in here and do business. Tonight we have a resolution to try to offer Verizon to come to our town to do business here. We want them to. We want to have different providers for our residents. So I'm going to plan on March 11th is the next town board meeting. It's our workshop. And that night, I'm going to have, usually we don't have open speaking from the public on workshop nights, but we will open to the public. We will have a discussion about this Optimum issue, and I will have it available for the people to come in and speak, or for them to speak on Zoom. It's very difficult. Our Zoom capabilities are not that refined here yet. I am on Zoom with the town clerk and the town engineer right now, and they can only hear me. So if there's a resident speaking at the podium, or if the council persons are speaking, or the professionals, they can't hear them. I have to repeat it. So I'm meeting with a company next week that is going to come in here, hopefully fix this problem we have where everybody can hear each other. So I want that to be done by March 11th, so when we have this open forum for the people, we can have a good dialogue all together. I will be advertising this starting tomorrow on Channel 22, on our social media pages, on GovDelivery, so the people know March 11th will be a good time to come, express your concerns about Optimum, Cablevision, and hopefully, with the passing of this resolution tonight, I will pass it on to Verizon and hopefully get maybe a representative also on the line, or at least a letter from them describing what their situation is or why they can't come here. So I just wanted to be very clear. The town has no authority in preventing a company from coming here. We encourage it. We want more different providers to provide us cable and internet services. So please, March 11th, come voice your opinion on that. Thank you very much. On Hopewell North Water District, I have had several calls and discussions with the EPA. We've had a lot of issues going on over there. We've had some leaks in the system. We've had some other problems going on. And right now, the town is taking the position of not allowing the remaining hookups until this issue is resolved. There's about 2 or 3 roads left for the EPA to connect homes. And after that, basically, the town is on the hook for the whole system. We will take ownership of the system very soon. And we are still awaiting final payment from the EPA, which we have not received. Also, if everyone remembers, we had an issue last year with these pipe coverings that ended up in the water line, and it was clogging one of the lines at our water filtration building. So we discovered this. We brought it to EPA's attention and their contractor, Conti, and after we discovered this, the EPA put together a waterline investigation action plan, which we were fully behind. We wanted to make sure that they did a thorough investigation of why these pipe coverings came, what the results of those pipe coverings being in the lines is going to affect our system. They did complete phase 1 of their plan, which was for the flow rate and pressure verification. Now we're waiting for phase 2, which is the closed circuit television verification, where they will actually run cameras throughout the system and check everything. This has not been completed mainly because of the weather. There's a lot of flushing that has to happen, and that will discharge a tremendous amount of water. And with the freezing conditions now, it's really not ideal to perform this work. But they will be doing the work. The town does oversee what they do. And the town really wants to make sure that this whole project is done in its entirety. We continue to work with Dutchess County Department of Health, New York State Department of Health about all these issues. We want a good, properly working system before we accept it in its entirety. And that's the benefit, that's only beneficial for the residents of Hopewell North. Let's remember, the federal government is paying for the infrastructure, and we are very grateful to that. But after we accept the system, it's the residents of Hopewell North Water District. They are the ones to pay for any repairs or problems that would come about. So I feel that we would get a brand new system. We should have no problems for many, many years. You buy a brand new car, you don't expect to change the motor out now, do you, for at least 100,000 miles. So in saying that, it's the same thing, the same principle here. We get a brand new system, we shouldn't have any problems. So we're going to make sure that the residents of East Fishkill, Hopewell North Water District are protected. And if anybody has any questions about that, please call my office, 221-4303. So I'd be happy to discuss this with you. I know that some residents aren't getting hooked up. There's only 2 roads left or 3 roads left, like I said. And I know that's frustrating, but we're doing it for a reason. We're doing it to protect the people of the water district. So with that, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Councilperson Cassidy.
Present.
Councilperson Franco.
Present.
Councilperson Marinero.
Present.
Councilperson Beacon.
Present.
Supervisor Del Sandro.
Present. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We do not have any public hearings tonight. Minutes. Everybody received the January 12th, 2021 minutes. Madam Clerk, were there any changes, alterations, modifications? No? With that, do I have a motion to approve January 12th, 2021 minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes approved, thank you. Additions to the agenda, courtesy of the floor. This is the point of the meeting. Anybody wishes to speak on any resolutions that we're passing tonight, on any general town issues, please come up to the podium, state your name, where you live, please. Nobody? Okay. Where's Bobby Grasso? He's not here tonight?
You guys miss him, don't you?
Yeah, where is he?
Kenny plowed him in with the snowstorm. He ain't getting out tonight.
We have nothing for receipt and file. Resolutions, we'll go right to resolutions. Number 1, Deputy Supervisor.
Whereas from time to time, the town board determines it necessary to update and modify town laws, and where it is the town board feels is more appropriate for the planning board to consider cell tower permits, and whereas the town board also feels it may be appropriate to have approvals that are granted but not implemented within 2 years to be deemed abandoned. Now therefore be resolved that we'll hold a public hearing on April 22nd at 7 p.m. to consider amending this ordinance.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion to set the public hearing for April 22nd at 7 p.m.?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? So we'll discuss this more in length, obviously, at the public hearing, but many times there's projects that become abandoned, they don't come back for many, many years, laws change, regulations change, and it becomes a mess. So, in order to help facilitate the planning board to do what's appropriate, we will have a public hearing to consider amending the zoning ordinance.
Tom, how many years we're gonna go back with this? Do you have any idea at this point, or not yet?
No, it would be effective when you adopt it, so the 2 years starts from when you adopt it, you can't go retroactive. So anything that's expired will remain expired, anything that is not yet expired will be given the 2 years.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Okay, number 2, Councilman Franco?
Opposing Central Hudson's rate increase proceedings. Whereas Central Hudson has a monopoly on delivering power to the residents of the town, and over the last few years, the utility has failed miserably in restoring power after storms. And whereas no meaningful plan has been created by the utility to improve restoration after storms. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of East Fishkill is opposed to any rate increase for service by Central Hudson unless it is tied directly to a plan to improve restoration as well as delivery of services.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion to oppose Central Hudson's rate increase?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? So, go ahead, Councilman.
I just want to add something to this, to the community and to the town board. I've had a few members of the community from town to town address the issue of bringing gas lines to certain parts of the town. And I made a couple of phone calls, and this week I was able to talk to one of the ranking people at Central Hudson. And, you know, they told me that right now, there is a discussion coming down from the governor's office telling Central Hudson to put aside projects of bringing gas to certain communities. What they're pushing for is electricity. They also told me at Central Hudson that they want the company, Central Hudson, to start investing heavy on electric vehicles. They did start purchasing some heavy-duty trucks that run on electricity, and they've had massive amount of expensive repairs. So this is a disappointment to our community because there is a demand. As many of us know, gas burns a lot better than electricity. It's a lot less expensive. And unfortunately, if this is going on, I don't know, maybe there is a discussion that we need to have at one point and see if there is some kind of committee that we could put together with the county executive to make a push. Because, you know, we can't decide for everybody else, especially when it comes to these economic decisions. So that's what's going on, and that's very unfortunate, I think.
Thank you, Councilman, thank you for that. Yeah, and that's why we do sometimes resolutions like this, to give a little notice to the people that, the residents, that we're not happy about these type of rate increases. We're all residents here, and we care about your wallet as much as we do our own. And, you know, most of the towns in Dutchess County have passed resolutions similar to this, or will pass. We do discuss items like this with the Mayors and Supervisors Association, and that's why we try to get a large majority together to confront it. So it brings good awareness, so thank you. Any other comments?
I think they definitely need to improve their plan for restoration and also their delivery of services, but during down times, they also need to make sure they have a stock supply of any supplies that residents may need during those periods. Because even during the last storm, we had council members and assistant county executives calling across the entire region to just find dry ice. And these are things that Central Hudson should be responsible for.
Yeah, thank you, Councilman. That reminds us of Tropical Storm Isaias in August, and thanks to actually Councilman Bepan, he got a we're hit hardest in the southern Dutchess, and they were out of dry ice within 45 minutes. They had something like 1,000 pounds to go out in southern Dutchess. That was, like a snap of a finger gone. Councilman Bepan did make a few phone calls, was able to acquire a couple thousand pounds of dry ice from a local company, and got in contact with the deputy county executive. He got in contact with Central Hudson. We were able to provide it for residents. So thank you for that, Councilman. I remember. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Okay, number 3, Councilman Marinaro.
So urging Verizon to extend fires into the town, whereas many residents have attempted to obtain fires service with the town. And whereas since the town board was happily granted a franchise to Verizon to provide cable and internet services within the town, and whereas the town board urges Verizon to make their services available, now therefore be it resolved that the town board does hereby request that Verizon extend its fire services within the town at the earliest opportunity.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion to urge Verizon to extend files into East Fishkill?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, just to make clear, I have to recuse myself from this conversation due to my employment with Verizon.
Yep. No problem, Councilman, thank you.
So,
Disclosing.
to add to whatever you said before regarding Cablevision, especially in our community, in our town, it's been an issue. I remember when we awarded contract renewal, that the gentleman that was here representing Cablevision, I addressed the cost and the terrible services that we are receiving in our community. And, he said he was gonna look into it at that time. Since then, I believe this was maybe, I would say, a good 3-4 years ago. Service is not improved, and costs have been going way up. I mean, usually every year you would have an increase. This year, somebody said there is a 17 or 18% increase in the bills. And it's really terrible. I mean, you could be on the phone with them for hours. You have a lot of interruptions. So hopefully somebody out there is listening, and they will come in our community, because it's a desperate attempt to really alleviate this big problem.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other comments? No, it's true, and that's why we try to bring attention to this as well. Our contract that we do have, we did review it, actually at the end of the summer with that large storm, Tropical Isaias, that I mentioned before. The East Fishkill had some people without power, without cable for almost 12 days. 12 days. So it's a lot of people work from home. They need it. It's not a luxury anymore. This is a necessity. And unfortunately, our contract doesn't discuss things like service and fixings and things like that. Our contract is a basic contract that just allows any company to come in here and use our right-of-way on town roads to do repairs and fix the wires and cables that they own. So basically, that's all our contract stipulates. And all contracts across the whole entire state are boilerplate the same. So we are going to bring a little bit more head to this with our meeting on March 11th, like I discussed in my comments. So I encourage people to come and discuss it, and hopefully we could get some action going on with this. But
Supervisor,
Yes.
if I could just add, just want to make it clear, there are certain things we can't have in the contract, and the quality of the service is one of them, because that we're preempted by New York State and the Public Service Commission with respect to the quality of service. The type of programming and the cost of the programming and service, we're preempted by the United States Communications Act, which took away the authority of local governments in that franchise agreement to provide for certain guaranteed content as well as cost. So over the years, the higher levels of government have eroded the local community's ability to regulate and tighten the issues with these cable companies, so that the contract we have, really all we're doing is consenting to them having their infrastructure in our communally owned right-of-ways, the roads and byways of the town, and to provide a community access channel that we're all watching the town board proceedings on. But other than that, the quality of the signal and the service. Also, there's a great disconnect because the state and the federal government has never clarified the internet service is not considered cable. So the internet service is not regulated by anyone. Only the cable service is truly regulated.
Wow.
And that's never been clarified by the upper levels of government. And even in the structure of our franchise fee, all utilities pay a franchise tax to the town in lieu of assessment, Central Hudson, the phone companies, and cable. And in the franchise agreement, we can only get a franchise fee for the cable vision part of the contract, not the internet part. So it's very complicated, but part of it is that everyone took away the local government's control of it. The town boards 25, 30 years ago had contracts that required service be expanded, because originally it was just in Hopewell, and the Wikipedia and Stormville didn't have service, and the companies weren't interested in going out there because there weren't enough homes. So they allowed us to regulate it then, but once everything got built up and operated, they started to peel away what you can control. So our agreement really, as you said, is a non-exclusive right for them to be in the highways and byways, for which they pay a fee. Everything else is either not regulated or regulated by another government entity.
So Tom, I know many people have asked me this question and I kind of didn't know the answer. How did Cablevision way back then came into East Fishkill? Before they came in, was it AT&T that?
No,
owned
we've
those
always
lines,
been,
or-
we've always been serviced by, it was Sylvan Lake Telephone, now it's Frontier. So originally, the phone companies didn't have anything to do with cable, and it was before the internet. And so when the cable came in, it was a novelty, and the company started, and I think our predecessor was called Cablevision, and they started all over the state. And so the state, as I said, they came in where there was a hub of population. So they came into like downtown Hopewell first, and then the town boards were allowed to force them to expand throughout the town. It was usually done by house per mile, number of houses per mile, et cetera. So that was a private company investing in this new service of cable. And then it, over the years, obviously exploded into the internet service and things like that. So.
Also, they always say that it's cost prohibitive for another company to come in here.
Well,
Now,
right.
with the airwaves, I mean, you really don't need a hard wire, right?
I don't, technically, I don't know what it,
Okay,
but I do
just-
know that
I thought that you would know.
with Verizon, the only place they provide their Fios service is usually in areas where they already have infrastructure for the phone service. And that's why only the Wikipedia area and the Holmes area of East Fishkill have access to Fios.
Right.
All right, and I think some hubs around the IBM facility, the old IBM facility, because IBM had phone service from Verizon. So I think they're the only areas in the town where Verizon provides any of that, so.
Okay.
Thank you, Town Attorney. So we will be discussing this more at length. You we didn't vote, right, Carol, yet?
No, not yet.
No.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Recuse.
One recusal?
One abstain.
Motion carried, thank you. Number 4, Councilman Beepin?
Adopting the retention and disposition schedule for New York local government records. Whereas the town board of the town of East Fishkill, that the retention and disposition schedule for New York local government records issued pursuant to Article 57A of the Arts and Cultural Affairs Law containing legal and minimum retention records for local government records is hereby adopted for use by all officers in legally disposing of valueless records listed herein. Be it further resolved that in accordance with Article 57A, only those records will be disposed of that are described in retention and disposition schedule. Only these records will be disposed of and not have sufficient administrative, fiscal, legal, or historical value to merit retention beyond established legal minimum periods.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion to adopt the retention and disposal schedule for New York local government records?
So
Do
moved.
I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Would the town attorney like to give us a little overview on this?
Well, this is just telling us there are certain records we have to keep forever, certain records that we can dispose of after a period of time, and another category of records, and really what the new implementation of this policy is there are certain records a scanned copy will eventually become the official record. And it used to be that if you had a scanned copy, you still had to keep some of the paper copies of those documents. So this is a complete updating. We're governed by the state rules. We have to adopt this, and this is a new one, so it now will allow the town clerk and the other departments to purge some of the storage that we have and accept scanned copies in lieu of paper copies.
Oh, that will be very well received. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Number 5, appoint legislative aid to the town board. Civil service law allows the appointment of a legislative aid to assist the town board in properly managing various operations. Town board like to appoint a legislative aid to continue working in the building department for functions assigned by the town board and supervisor. Now therefore be resolved, Brenda Porter residing in Hopewell Junction will be appointed legislative aid to the town board until October 4, 2021. Her pay will remain the same, and benefits will be the same in accordance with the established town policies. Do I have a motion to appoint Brenda Porter as legislative aid?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? So, we're trying to maneuver some positions in our building department. We have a new, I should call him deputy town engineer, and other positions we are trying to maneuver right now, and it's appropriate to make Brenda a legislative aid. It's really for ease of civil service. Any other comments or concerns? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Number 6, Deputy Supervisor.
Authorize the bid for the dangerous structure to be demolished, whereas the town board previously had been advised of a building inspector, by the building inspector and town engineer, that certain structures located at 1 Hosner Mountain Road, including the barn on property, are dangerous structures. Whereas the town board forwarded a notice to the property owners ordering the property owners to demolish the said buildings due to unsafe condition. Whereas the town clerk has been duly authorized to receive bids for such buildings and has received bids for such, be it further resolved that the bid awarded to Coyle Industries in the amount of $50,000. Be it further resolved that upon reviewing of the expenses of the town board, the board shall levy and collect the same part on the next town tax bill in accordance with the local law in the state of New York.
Thank you, Deputy Supervisor. Do I have a motion to authorize the bid for dangerous structures at 1 Hosner Mountain Road?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? So this has been on our agenda for a long time. We went back and forth, giving them more time, then the bank took the property, and back and forth again, then about, I don't know, there was one of the other structures on property, a little barn that was not suitable to remain standing as well, so we finally are at this point for this structure to be demolished, and this is the resolution. Any comments or concerns or questions?
I know the residents on Hosner will be happy.
They will be happy, is right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. I actually do have to call a resolution from the floor. Was supposed to have this last month, but it keeps slipping our mind. But then I was making the March 11th workshop meeting to discuss Optimum and also the Route 52 corridor. We have a moratorium on all building on Route 52 from the Taconic State Parkway to Blue Hill Road, which is going to expire March 31st, 2021. So because of COVID and we haven't been able to have meetings about this, we put together a housing committee to look at all the different housing stock in the town. They haven't been able to get together because of COVID and various reasons. It's been very difficult to get people together, even by Zoom. So we're going to have to extend the moratorium for 6 months. So I would like to ask for a motion to set a public hearing to extend the Route 52 moratorium for 6 months for March 25th, our voting meeting on March 25th at 7 p.m. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Clerk will get you those details. And we do have a budget transfer. Who sees that? This also was to be last month, but we were changing it around. So we have a couple new possible computer software programs to help us in our building department. Pretty much the whole town is called Municity. And also in our town clerk's office to try to get rid of all the paper. We're trying to go online and be paper-free, so that will save the taxpayers money. So we have a budget transfer of $47,000 for the Municity. Where are we at? I'm sorry. $50,000 for the Municity and $25,000, $75,000 total. Do I have a motion to approve this budget transfer?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Our comptroller's here if you need any clarification. I know everybody does speak to him regularly. No? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Budget transfer is completed, thank you. Okay, town board comments. Well, let's start with our highway superintendent. He's very chipper.
Very busy we've been.
What'd you get up around noon today?
Oh, it's been like a 3 o'clock,
Oh, 3 a.m., I'm sorry.
3 a.m.,
3 a.m.
it's like a Groundhog's Day over and over here. So, all right, the big news around highway is, of course, snow. We have had 10 snow events so far in 2021, with more on the way. Our plow drivers have been working very long hours to keep our roads clear and open. We have had several back-to-back storms. In the days that follow each storm, we do go back out to widen our roads with our wing plow trucks. We try to clear large piles of snow, move them out of the way, get our sight distance issues back so that everyone can see. We also have had to remove some of the snow, as Nick was saying earlier, with our large 10-wheel trucks and our backhoes and our loaders. Just a few reminders to our residents. Please be aware that there is a parking ordinance in effect. No vehicles may be parked in the road or the right-of-way. It's against the law to push snow into the road. This creates dangerous icing conditions on plowed roads. After we have been through, people tend to push the snow out across the road, and then a local resident or a passerby comes by and hits a black ice patch, and we have an accident. So please do not do that. Please also do not put your garbage cans out in the road. We get numerous calls for damaged mailboxes. Section 319 of New York State law states that we are not responsible for damage done to mailboxes during snow removal. Unfortunately, it happens. It has even happened to me in the last storm. Our drivers never intentionally plow someone's driveway in or hit a mailbox or a garbage can. Sometimes it's just it's unavoidable. We've been keeping our salt shed and sand shed restocked after each storm when we have the opportunity. We are prepared for additional weather if it comes, which it looks like it will be coming. Our mechanics have been very busy maintaining our plow trucks, keeping them on the road. They do a great job. Sometimes it's on the fly, sometimes it's out on the road during a storm. I'd like to thank everyone that's been working with us, our highway department, our recreation department. It really takes a team to pull it together, especially when we have this kind of snow. And also, I gotta give my secretary a big hand because she's there with us all hours of the night, dispatching us, talking with the police, talking with the fire department, EMS, making sure we get where we have to be. I have some thank yous. I wanna make sure that I get these out there. Carol's Deli, Pizza Time, Petro Oil, Stormville Oil, Red Wing Sand and Gravel, East Fishkill Police Department, and the East Fishkill Fire Department. That's it for me.
Thank you, Highway Soup. So you said when, unfortunately, sometimes the mailboxes get damaged, you're gonna pay for them personally?
No, that was coming from your end.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was from your pocket. Okay. Police Chief, how are you, sir?
Well tonight, how are you?
Excellent. You have anything to report?
So as far as since our last meeting, we've responded to 1,784 calls. Most of those calls we were able to respond to thanks to Kenny and his crew. Thank you. So we've also handled 83 offense reports, 14 arrests, 40 accidents. There were 93 medical calls in the district since our last meeting. 19 of those 93 calls were flu-like symptoms or COVID positive. So a few points of interest. Officer Scott Grove and Officers Bruce White responded to a heroin overdose on the 13th of January. Upon their arrival, the patient was not breathing and no pulse was detected. They quickly administered 4 doses of Narcan and revived the victim. After a week-long investigation, detectives arrested a 53-year-old Wappingers resident on January 14th for calling in a bomb threat at the iPark complex. On the 19th, officers Matthew Malakin and Brendan Ercoli responded to a heroin overdose, and upon arrival, the patient was unresponsive. The officers administered Narcan and revived the victim. As far as administrative level goes, last year, Federal Executive Order 13929, which is labeled Policing for Safe Communities, was signed by President Trump. The purpose of that was to ensure that our police department's use of force policy adheres to all federal, state, and local laws, and that it also prohibits chokeholds. We have completed the necessary paperwork and applications, have submitted it to the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services, who is tasked with certifying us and giving us the necessary credentials, which allow us to seek federal funding. So that has been submitted to New York State, who will certify us and pass that on, file our applications with the federal government. I will forward the town board members and the comptroller copies of that certification as soon as I receive it. The last thing that we did is we attached ourselves to a company called Police One Academy. Police One Academy has 1,500 police-related training sessions. Most of those sessions are accompanied with video, which is applied online with examinations and certifications, certificates. They keep track of everything for us. So my officers can do a training for how to prepare for a God forbid, an ambush, how to prepare for use of force incidents, how to prepare for bias training, basic, and there's also training in there for my civilians as well, so dispatchers and administrative personnel. Basically, the 1,500 training sessions come in at a cost around $2,000. So basically, we are getting our training for about 50 cents a session versus where we spend a couple $100 to train one person. So we've greatly increased our training component, which will benefit every single employee with the department.
Excellent. Thank you, Chief. Councilman Bepan?
I'd like to give a big shout out to Jan and Bill over at the Recreation Department. They've been doing a phenomenal job jumping on just about every task that arises, and they've been solving problems. So we really appreciate all of their efforts. Christine as well. Huge shout out to Kenny, the Highway Department, our Police Fire Department. You know, we had some pretty major storms this year. I think that I heard it was like the most snow we've had in about 5 years. And the roads looked great. Police and fire were getting to emergencies, and so we really appreciate everything you did. Thank you for letting me come along for a ride that night. It was good seeing what you guys do up close and personal in person. So one thing I want to recommend is those who are looking for any sort of recreation activities happening this year, check out the East Fishkill Recreation website. We have everything, information about concerts, fishing this year, some sort of camp that we're gonna be doing. All of our sports information's on the recreation website, so check that out or give Jan or Bill or Christine a call in the office there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Franco?
Another shout out to our highway superintendent, Kenny. Great job, you and your crew, making those roads clean and everybody safe, so that's really big.
Thank you.
Today, the supervisor and I, we brought back our Spotlight on East Fishkill, and we actually changed the name of it. It's now Spotlight on East Fishkill, Taking Care of Business. So if you have a business in East Fishkill, or know of somebody who has a business in East Fishkill and would like to be part of our show, we would love to have you. Please contact any of us anytime, and we'll see what we can do to get you on. Help promote businesses like we've been doing for years.
Excellent. Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Marinero?
So last month, January 25th, or around that time, we had a meeting. I met with the highway superintendent at his highway department with a couple of other people from the highway department to discuss purchasing some equipment that the department needs. And we put together something which it's going to be discussed again with our supervisor and our controller. So there is this relationship between the town board and the highway department where we work together. And, you know, things are tossed around back and forth to see what makes sense, what we could afford to spend. So it is a good thing. This was never like this before. I am happy to be working with these people because at the end of the day, we buy the best equipment for the money that we have available. And that is a great thing for the taxpayers of this community. Last Monday, like the supervisor mentioned before, we spent some time together with the highway superintendent. We drove around, and I do a little plowing for personal reasons. My town supervisor, that was his first time, so he was really kind of shaky and impressed by the job. But I know that it's not an easy job while everybody else sleeps at night or is safe in their homes. These people are out there, you know, visibility is poor and the roads are terrible. So we got to give these people a lot of credit. They're stepping up and doing the job, and they never look at the clock. So that was last Monday, February 1st.
That was
So,
fun, huh?
yeah. And, you know, I receive a lot of phone calls regarding the department. And this week, I was approached by a manager from petrol oil company. He says, look, we want to do something for the highway department because if it wasn't for them, we couldn't deliver our oil on time, and this time of the year, we depend on the roads to be clean. What can we do? So they offered. I says, they'll love if anybody buys them lunch. So we contact the highway superintendent and put together a lunch for these, the whole department. And, you know, it was a good thing. The company was very proud of doing something small for these people, and the workers from the highway department, they're very appreciative. Anytime this happens, I mean, these people, again, they work together with our fire department volunteers, the ambulances, our police department. Anytime there's a call, they usually work together during a snowstorm, opening up the roads for them. And again, many of us don't know this, but this is what's happening every time there is a snowstorm. So thank you to our highway department, police department, and of course to our fire volunteer. So I have been involved in the last few weeks doing, also another note, doing some interviews with the Conservative Executive Committee. And we've had some highway superintendent come to the meetings and we ask questions. How are your towns doing? Everybody, so that let the community know that all the surrounding towns around us have the same similar issues that we've had with our highway department. You know, they need new equipment. Everybody says our equipment is old, but at the same time, I thought that East Fishkill was the only town where we're not supplying these guys with brand new trucks. They all more or less go through the same issues. Some of them, they try to buy good equipment from down south, not too many hours, and they save a bundle of money. So we are also putting something like that together, where we're gonna look throughout the south for, you know, some good trucks, some other equipment that we could buy for cheap, and have, you know, a few more years of life with it. So if it's any consolation, the highway superintendent, I mean, he has a bigger job over here because he has more miles of roads, and I think probably besides the town of Poughkeepsie, actually you have more, it's a bigger department, I would say, than quite a few other towns around here.
We're the largest town in Dutchess County,
Yeah, as far as employees and managing people.
the most miles of road.
So, one other thing, I usually make these announcements, you know, our fire department needs volunteers. Please, anybody in the community, no matter what the age, if you have some time available, if you're retired, if you're bored at home, your fire department, local fire department could use your help, and you could do whatever needs to be done. So please, whatever you can, stop by our fire departments, and usually they meet on a Monday night at the fire district, and stop by and talk to them and save us a bundle of tax dollars.
Thank you, Councilman. And our county legislators here, Legislator Caswell. So Monday nights, you could volunteer for the fire district. I know you're newly retired legislator, so make sure you make yourself available, please. Thank you. Deputy Supervisor.
Kenny, I just got one question.
Okay, go ahead, Pete.
Nobody's asked us about mailboxes for years. So you take these guys out, what were they, wingmen here, that you took all the mailboxes out in that one storm?
Oh, that's what happened to my
Nick
mailbox.
and AJ and Manny were wingmen or what? Haven't heard about mailboxes in years.
Actually, we missed your house. We made sure that all the other houses, we hit them on purpose. So next time, we will remember.
Okay, I was out plowing all night with them, not as long as Kenny.
No mailboxes out.
Our roads look great. I've been in the other towns during that storm, and the roads look good. And Chief, he's still giving all the money to the highway. You gotta hold some ground. And
Thank you, guys.
thanks to all the guys out there working in the storm, fire department, police department, highway, they already got thanked enough times, and they get free food too, Chief.
Yes, we do.
I heard that too.
We get the chief desserts. You like sweets.
But the big thing is, when you are out plowing, and I loved seeing it, you'd be driving down a road, and you'd watch all these driveways dumping all their snow right out on the driveway.
Oh, yeah.
Happens all the time.
And but the best part was, then I saw the plow guy coming through, and he's going, then he'd come back through, and the guy pushed another big load right out in the middle of the road. Do they get tickets, Chief?
We
sometimes.
actually worked together on one this week, and we resolved a large issue with myself, with the chief, and the supervisor, D'Alessandro. So hopefully we'll have less issues with the next coming storms.
I mean, the last storm was, the one storm was brutal.
It was.
I mean, but,
It was bad.
It happened right in
but,
front of us.
but every,
It
but
happened
every,
right in front of AJ and I at that night as well.
every storm it happens, I mean, there's no doubt about it. And it is dangerous for the people driving down the road.
It is, especially after we've
Then
come
again, most
through.
of them were supposed to be home that were on the road.
To begin
You can
with.
see, they were during the state of emergency, but they were still out on the road.
You know, Kenny, I don't know if there is anything that we could do, but we've had some complaints, like the town supervisor mentioned before, by some of these big shopping centers, that they pile up, I mean, when we have a lot of snow, but when they pile up the snow at the end of the parking lot where people have to get on the road and they have poor vision.
There's laws, yeah,
There
they
is.
have to adhere to the sight distance. They know, the highway superintendent had a little lecture to some of the companies that do the snow clearing.
So this
for-
was addressed already,
Yeah,
right?
to some of them that we
Especially in
had some
82,
issues.
they were saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good.
And sometimes we have also our police chief go knock on the door of some of our shopping center owners and say that they have to lower the amounts of snow on
Okay.
the curbs.
It's a safety issue.
Yes.
That's it, Deputy
That's it.
Supervisor?
Okay, one other comment I'd like to say, I met this week with our new fire chief, Francola Calamita, our first meeting of the year, and I'd like to thank former Chief Steve Conti for his service to East Fishkill. Both these gentlemen do a tremendous amount of work for our fire district, and we're very grateful to that. And I'd like to thank the chief and also the Board of Commissioners. I spoke with Commissioner Corey Earhart and the Chief La Calamita. They have given to our highway department their emergency response unit for $1. They bought a new one, so we were able to get the old one for free.
Yeah. I
So
wanna
thank you.
I want to thank the chief as well. He actually did come out in the big storm and wing with us for about 5 hours.
Look at that.
And he had to ride with Kevin, so I'm sure his, yeah, we all know.
His ears were hurting.
Yes, his ears were hurting.
But thank you, Chief. Thank you to the former Chief Conti and all the commissioners as well. We appreciate all your help, and very happy Valentine's Day on Sunday to everybody. Our next meeting is February 25th. That is a special public hearing for our police reform and collaborative public hearing that we're going to discuss the plan we put together for the state of New York. And it's a public hearing, so anybody's welcome to come and speak. And after that, like I discussed before, March 11th is our workshop, and we will be advertising the agenda very shortly.
And do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Meeting adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, clerk.